Morning, gifted crafters. It's crafting time.
I swear I can sew a straight line. Got me my buddy who can do it in no time. Hit the pedal to the metal, watch the stitches fly. That's my buddy, it's always by my side. So here's to my buddy, it's just me and my machine. Stitching our dreams, yeah, we make quite a team. Together we stitch, yeah, together we mend. Nothing is better than my sewing friend. So let me sew to my heart's content, stitching away till the fabric gets spent. Hypnotized, up and down the needle goes. Thread leaves the bobbin, so does my woes. So here's to my buddy, it's just me and my machine. Stitching our dreams, yeah, we make quite a team. Together we stitch, yeah, together we mend. Nothing is better than my sewing friend.
Live from the Sunshine State in Miami, Florida, here is the Gifted Crafters Morning Show with Nancy.
Let's have a good time. Ooh, time to get our craft on. Ooh, time to have fun. Ooh, time to feel good.
Good morning, Gifted Crafters, and welcome back to the Gifted Crafters Morning Show. Good morning out there. We've got people that tune in from all over the place, and we'll say a quick hello to those. But first, if you're here for the first time, my name is Nancy with GiftsHQ, and I host these sessions to just have fun, just have a little smile in your life. And we like to talk about sewing, quilting, decoupage, any kind of crafting item. We do all kinds of things. And we just like to have a good time together and start off our day the right way, right? So let's see who we have out there. I see Faker McFake from Louisiana, 60 degrees today. Oh, wow, an amazing view of the full moon. Ooh, that's pretty cool. Good morning, Barb. Good morning to Debbie. Let's see, who else did we have out there? Oh, Barb's watching her grandson today. Okay, no worries. Don't worry, you can hear everything that we're going to be talking about. Good morning to Heather Kaufman, and good morning to Robin's Quilt Basket. All right, yeah, like I said, we get people from all over the place. It's really amazing. We've got JBL joining us, and we've got Leslie B, or Jaws Mom, from Lake Ridge, Virginia. It just makes me smile every time I see that name. Alrighty, Becky is from North Central Texas. We've got Melissa also from East Texas. We've got Jenny Owen. She says it's a beautiful day today, and happy Thursday. Yes, happy Thursday to you too, Jenny. And let's see, Lisa Lilly from Richmond, Illinois. Good morning. Our friends from Canada, yay, they are here. And let's see, oh, crisp, cool, 28 degrees in Wisconsin. She's checking in. Cheryl, oh my goodness. Yes, that's pretty cold. At least for us, that's freezing. Let's see, we've got Marge from Wisconsin. Kathy, good morning to you. Melinda, good morning. We've got Lori, good morning to you. Renee, oh gosh, in Long Island, it's 49 degrees today. Oh boy. Well, again, I am from Miami, Florida, so it doesn't get quite as cold here, but we're going to get a little bit of a cold front coming up soon, which is pretty cool for us. I really love that. But a little jealous you guys get to have all the changing seasons and a little bit of cooler weather. So definitely, you know, looks like you guys are going to need some hot fluids there. Okay, we've got Deborah from Virginia, scrapping like a lady. She's here from Texas. Let's see, and Flo, good morning from North Carolina. Alrighty, guys. You know, now, if you are tuning in for the first time, don't forget to go ahead and say hello in the chat. We've got a welcoming community. We'll welcome you in, and you're just never going to want to leave because we always have a great time. Alrighty, let's get started. Now, I like to start my mornings off with a little bit of a toast, okay? So let's go ahead, grab yourself a cup of whatever it is you have in the morning now. Don't be shy. You've got all kinds of stuff in the morning, coffee, tea, soda, water. It doesn't matter. There's no judgment here. We don't care what you drink. We just want you to make a toast with us, right? So let's go ahead and raise those glasses. Of course, if you don't have one and you're still in your bed and you're watching from your phone, no worries. Go ahead and hit that like button because, you know, you didn't get out of bed, but you could at least do the hit the like button for me. But we'll get you a cup if you don't have one already. So let's go ahead and pour you a nice hot cup of something, right? Because I know all of you are a little bit chilly out there. All right, Renee's got her coffee all ready to go. Awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and raise those glasses nice and high, and let's just toast to a fantastic Thursday, right? I hope you guys get a little bit of crafting in today and have a fantastic day. So go ahead and raise those up, and cheers to everyone. I'm going to grab myself a little swivel here. Jenny says coffee, cheers. Yes, cheers, yay. Okay, had to kind of grab that second swivel. Having a rough time waking up today. It was a late one last night, and it was just one of those nights that I was like, I kept making mistakes. You know, when you're just tired, and it comes to the point that you just got to stop and say, okay, it's not a good time to sew because I'm just tired and I just wasn't feeling it. So got some stuff done yesterday. Don't know how great it came out, but you know, I just had one of those nights. So I may have to kind of go back and seam rip a couple things, but it's okay. We got through it, got some of the stuff done, so we'll have to come back. But yeah, I don't know. Miss Molly was here telling me, you know, I was wanting to fall asleep. I was just like, it was just not a good night for me. I needed some rest. Had a rough day at work too. It was just a lot going on and stuff everywhere, things, due dates all over the place, and oh boy, we had to get a lot of things done. So it was a rough one for me. I know you guys sometimes will have those rough days, and you know, crafting usually just, you know, takes all of that away. Yeah, Miss Molly just wanted to keep going. Yeah, she did. She just wanted to keep going. She wore me out. I was pooped. I was just pooped. I couldn't do anymore. I said, I'm too tired. And I was just exhausted, and I was starting to make mistakes, and she was just wanting to just go, 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 go. And she's like, come on, Nancy, you can do this. One more seam. And I just kept going, and we got through the rows. We did do that, but I was just exhausted, and I just, that's it. I'm calling it, because there were a couple things that I didn't like, some seams that didn't come out good, and it was just because I was tired. So yeah, you're the queen of seam ripping. Yeah, Lori, I'm probably going to be a queen of that today, because I'll probably have to undo some of the stuff that I did yesterday, but I'll show you what I did so far. You know, it may not be perfect, but I got her done, and then we'll see what I have to seam rip back out. So let's take a look. Now, before we do all of that, let's go get all our snacks and all our goodies and get ourselves all nice and comfy. We've got our drink in place. We've got that down packed. So let's go grab some snacks, because I know you guys are always looking for get some snacks. And today we're going to do the food cart, because, we've got to stretch it out. We got to walk that little funk off of us, and let's just get back into our zone. We got to wake up. That's it. It's time, because it's towards the end of the year and we got to get those projects done, right? Okay. Yeah. Good morning, River Rose. Thanks for joining. Yes. Okay. So let's go ahead and roll out the food cart. We're going to walk on over to the food cart. Yes. Get your walking in, ladies. Let's get the walking in, and men too, right? We got to get the walking in nice and healthy. Already got our water in place. So I'll have to take a brisk walk this morning, and we'll go and get some snacks. So yeah, they may not be the healthiest snacks. I may just, end up getting, maybe I'll get a bagel, but, might get some other stuff too. But we've got everything there. We've got our cat and dog there giving out some muffins and cookies for those that are wanting some stuff right out of the oven, nice and warm. Okay, you've got your coffee, your tea, your donuts, you've got all of that stuff. So now that you've got your snacks and you've got your drinks, and I hope you're in your nice cozy spot or a safe place to watch, then you can definitely be ready to go. Yeah, as the ahas say, step 2, unsew. Yeah. Oh, Renee's got a pumpkin spice muffin. Oh, wow. Pretty cool. Baker McFake, seam ripping snacks. Yeah, I think I'm going to need some of those today. Definitely we'll have to take some of those out. Okay, so when you start making mistakes, it's time to stop. Yeah, Flo, and that's kind of where I was going last night, and I just finally gave in and said, that's it. I need to get some rest. I need to go to bed and get some sleep. So, did some of that. Well, today I'm going to show you what I have. Some of them may not be perfect, but you know how it goes here. This is live. We just do it, and it is what it is. We are not all perfect, so it's all okay. All right, so guys, let's see, another reminder on the project. Let me pull it out here. So we're doing the Christmas tree project today, right? And that is coming, that is using the QCR Mini Ruler, but we're also taking that out from the book. It's a pattern that, if I can get the book over here, let me scoot this over. It's the Mini Wonderful Curves book. And this is the book that we are following that has this tree pattern here. So this is what we've been working on. We're just about done on it. So it's going to be kind of the final reveal type things pretty soon, probably by tomorrow. We've got the rows all done. Now we've just got to connect the rows, and just that front panel will be done. So you'll be left with like batting. Backing I haven't picked out yet, but we'll have the batting and the backing and the binding to do. But other than that, she's all set to go. So we'll be starting on the post stands. And I was starting to kind of look at this pattern a little bit, and I'm really glad that we started with the tree first, because this one is a little bit more complex, has a little bit more trickier things. Now, I'm not going to go through every single step like I did with the tree. I'm just going to skip over the stuff that we've already know how to do. So you already know how to do the curves with the ruler and some of the cuts, but I'm going to go through the pattern, and anything that we did not cover, I'm going to bring it up and let you guys see that. So I'm going to try to do, a lot of the stuff on it, but there is a lot of extra little complex steps that are in this particular pattern that you're going to want to see here. Yeah, no quilting police here. Very good. Awesome. Wait, it doesn't have to be perfect the first time. LOL, I wish I knew. No, it does not. When it doesn't come out perfect, it just means that, it's creative. Good morning. There's some crafty Puerto Rican. Good morning to you. So, it's all okay. So this one's going to be a little bit more complex, because as I was looking through the pattern, there are like little extra steps that get done that has you working with the curve, right? And so remember that once you make that cut for the curve, you have a lot of stretch going on in that fabric. So you really gotta be careful on how you sew it and pull it. You know, you don't want to tug on it too much because you can kind of warp the fabric a little bit. So I got to read through that again, and I want to make sure that I plan out something that's really going to work for some of these steps on here, because you are working on the bias, which we do not like to do, but it is required for this pattern. So I'm going to go through those steps and just kind of pick those out, but I just wanted to give you that heads up on this. So I've already kind of picked out my fabrics. I've got a lot of reds, I've got a lot of whites, and I've got a background fabric for it. I do have a tan that I'm going to use probably for the face. I still haven't decided on the trim of the, over here, the trim of the hat. It has a little bit of this blue teal here. I'm not sure if I want that to be blue. I have to see what I'm going to use for that. So I haven't decided on that one yet. But other than that, my fabrics are selected. I may just go ahead and do some pre-cutting over the weekend just to have all the cuts down. And then we can go right into the techniques for specific pieces that require a little bit of explanation because they're a little bit complex in here. So we will definitely look at that. Hey, good morning on a dime with Shay Shay. Good morning. She's saying good morning to all her crafting friends. Awesome. And so, you know, this one, you know, we'll take a little bit of time just to talk about the techniques, but I don't know if I'll go through the entire thing. We'll kind of see how it goes. I got to read through it a little bit more just to really understand how I can kind of teach this one as we go along. Okay, so just a heads up on that one. All right, let's get to it. I'm going to move all of this over to the side. So yesterday, a couple people were asking about these design boards, and I know I have a video out there on design boards and how to make your own design board. But these particular ones that everyone was asking me about, these I did not make. So these were purchased from Temu, actually. They had a deal and they're very simple. I just didn't have the time to make more of them, and I needed them right away because I had some projects that were piling up and I needed boards or something to kind of pull my stuff together. So I went ahead and I ordered it while I was working on some other things, and then they did come in and I just started using them. But these design boards are very simple, very, very easy to make. It's just a little time consuming and I didn't have the time to do it. So all this is on here, if you want to kind of just look to see how they make this is made out of felt. They're using felt. You can use fabric, but the felt will work really nicely because it kind of holds on to your fabric so they won't come off. And then on here, it's just, you know, the board is inside, and then you're just wrapping it, like just like you're wrapping a gift, right? You're wrapping it with the felt. Now they cut a piece here inside, and then they have this outer piece that kind of hugs it around here. So it's a little bit open here, right? And then on this side, this is really the side that I use that holds on to all the fabric. The idea of this on Temu was that you can stack them up and put them on your board. And so you could make, you know, a design board by just, you know, stacking them and putting them on the wall. Not sure. They were saying you can use Velcro and put Velcro and have them stick. And I'm sure you can do it that way, but it probably will get a little heavy once you start putting your quilt stuff on here. So I'd find a better way to kind of put it on your wall if you're going to do that. I didn't want to put it on my wall. I just wanted to use them to stack certain projects as I go. So that is where I got it from. You can probably just go into Temu and just type in quilting project boards for quilting or something like that. And you should be able to get them. So good morning, and good morning to you too. And good morning. Oh, is it glued down? The edges, so the edges, yeah, I think they are glued down. There's no sewing on here. They just glued them down. And you can do that too. You can sew it down or you can glue it down. it really doesn't matter as long as it holds, right? And then they tried to do kind of like a mitered quarter here. They're not like the best mitered corners. You can see some of them are like a little wonky-ish over on the end. Let me see if you can see that. See that end here? They're not like the best quality, but I just needed something really quick, really fast, and something that I could use that I didn't have to do it because I just didn't have the time to do it. Oh, first time you're here. If you don't, oh, awesome. Well, congrats and thanks for joining us. And go ahead. We've got our whole welcoming committee in our chat there. And you guys all love newcomers. So we definitely will welcome you in. And let's see, and let's see if I say this, it's Shotzi Talent 483. Oh, I'm happy that you are watching and happy that you can join us. So, okay. So that's where I did get the project board. So if you guys are interested, I mean, that's where I got it from. I just needed something, again, something really quick to kind of solution some stuff that I was doing here. Alrighty, so like I said, we got some sewing stuff done, and I'm going to put this actually back over here. We've got, and I need to turn this around the right way so that they're all facing the right way. We've got the Christmas tree or the giving tree somewhat sewed here. And yeah, let me just make sure I didn't leave any pieces in between the boards. No, I didn't. Okay. So this is pretty much it. After all of that, this is all that's left of the project. Okay. So as you can see here, everything is broken down into rows and they're all kind of sewn in the rows. And then we've got like the top of the tree here. And then I started to work on the star, and I really didn't like how the star was coming out. And then I kind of abandoned and said, I'm going to have to redo this because I was just so tired. I couldn't even think, but this is somewhat what it looks like. I just was not happy with it. Let me see. This would be, let's say, the top. Let's say this is the bottom, and it would kind of go like this somewhat. Let's see if I can hold this up a little bit. Something like this. Okay. And that's what it's going to look like. So once I have this all pieced together. Now, what I didn't like, I didn't sew it correctly and I was just tired. And so I didn't like how my points were coming out. Some of them were okay. Like this point was fine. See how it kind of meets up at the top. I was okay with that one. But then when I did my second one, I was just exhausted. And you can see I totally missed the point here. Let me move this one out of the way. And you see how that side here is not done right. It's not coming up all the way to the top. And this part was not even sewn. So that's when I said, that's it. I'm calling it a night. I'm going to bed. And I will undo this and redo it today. So the bottom part of the star was not the best there, but that's okay. But once you put the two together, then of course you have to sew your two rows together to make up that star and line up that seam there in the middle. Okay, so that's how you'll end up with your star here. And it goes with that background fabric here. So yeah, points are your worst enemy, Robin. Yeah, but you know, they're just a challenge. They're just a challenge for us, but that's okay because there's tools that can help you out. There's all kinds of tips that we like to share for hitting those points. So, you know, I'm not perfect, guys. I try my best. I'm not perfect. I'm just like you guys sitting in your craft room. Sometimes you're just frustrated because you didn't hit that point or you didn't do something correct. And it's okay. That's why we're here. We're just here to have a good time, whether we hit the point or we don't, right? Okay, so this one right here, I am going to redo that because I really don't like how that came out, and being that it's the star, I mean that's like the star of the whole panel, the whole quilt, right? So people are definitely going to see that, so I want to fix that and kind of redo that piece. So that was one of the ones that I said, okay, I got to redo that. And then I kind of went on, and this is what the tree top is looking like so far. Can you guys see that? Let me see if you can see this here. Okay, so we've got the treetop, not too bad. I love how the points kind of come up, and you see how all of that cutting that we did and the sewing and the pulling when we were trying to sew on that curve and we were pulling that fabric, that really makes a difference on how this comes out. If you pull too hard, you're gonna be off, just like I was on my star. Was it here? No, over here somewhere. So this was me kind of pulling and tugging a little too hard and coming up a little bit too much, right? So that's where this has to get redone. But this one here came up nicely, is meeting at the point, and that's exactly how you want it to look, so that your points come out really touching right on the edge, because that's what you want to see right on the end there. And then we've got, you know, the other layers, and now they start kind of coming in. This one is not as pointy because I'm going to add this to this. So once I start sewing the seams together, you're going to see, and I've got this little thread here in the way, but you're going to start seeing your points coming together. And then it's going to look like they are exactly on the edge here, right? Because we got that 1/4 inch seam that we have to eat up here in between. So those will start to come together. And you'll see some of that as we're sewing today. And then here we've got that second row, and then of course we've got the third row on the bottom. So that's pretty much how our tree is looking like right now. And then we've got all of our other rows, and I'm going to lay those out here so you guys could see that. Let me move this out of the way. And my ruler out of the way. There we go. Okay, so we've got, let's see here. We've got our bottom, and I've kind of put these, I pinned them together. So we've got our bottom tree trunk here. When I open this up, you're going to see that bottom layer of the tree, right? And so we wanted this to come right on top of that tree trunk. And so you see all of the curves are curving away because you want the tree to kind of start growing this way. Now I did pin this, so it's a little hard to see, but we'll open it up as soon as we're done sewing it. But then you have your other pieces that will go right on top, and you'll kind of, I'll try to build it out for you here. And let's see here, we've got some more and some more. I think I got that the right way. And so you see the tree starting to form here, and then you're going to have this top piece right here, and then you'll start to see the whole tree coming together. Can you guys see that? See how it kind of just all flares out this way? So make sure that all of your points are going the right way. And that's why it's really important to kind of have it off to the side and make sure that the points, your curves, are all curving out. You don't want to sew it the wrong way and you're going to end up with a curve going on the inside. So be careful with that. Okay, so let's get to it because we've got some sewing to do here. I'm going to put this over to the side. Let's see here. We've got a row here that I've already pinned together. And so we're just going to run this through the machine. So let's bring Miss Molly over. Here we go. And Miss Molly's just a party animal. I just don't know. I can't keep up with her. Just can't keep up with her. And we did a lot of sewing. I'm wondering if I'm going to run out of bobbin or not, but we'll find out. Play that bobbin chicken game, I guess, right? How many of you guys done that? All right, so we've got our long strip. Now, what did we say about sewing long strips, right? We've got a couple things that we need to look out for because this is a long strip. All right, so first of all, we wake up Miss Molly. So wakey, wakey here. Here we go. And there, I think she's nice and awake now with that little rooster. And so we're going to go ahead and put her underneath our foot here. Now, hand placement, very important. You are dealing with a long seam. Now, this seam, well, this particular row that we're doing is not very long, so you don't have to worry about this side so much because you don't really have anything hanging off the side of the sewing machine, right? It's a pretty short little block that you're doing here, so it's not too bad, but you still have to provide the hand support. If you don't provide the hand support, you could be sewing wonky like this, or it could be turning this way and getting yourself all off track. I have my diagonal seam tape laid out. I have my 1/4 inch mark here, and I'm just going to be following that 1/4 inch line. This is what I'm looking at. Again, I'm looking at the diagonal seam tape. I am not looking at this needle and whatever is going on in this area. I really don't care about what's going on. I know what it's doing. It's just going up and down. What I really need to focus on is making sure that my fabric stays nice and straight. And so I need to look at that 1/4 inch line. Okay, and I want to make sure that, of course, I don't run over any of my pins. So we'll be kind of stopping and pausing and taking the pins out along the way. Oh, hey, Josh, amazing stuff. So Josh is one of the amazing volunteers that we have. I know Josh, he is in the Miami area, and he is an awesome, awesome coach. And he is the coach for my son for stand-up paddleboarding, and he's an awesome coach for Special Olympics, and he devotes a lot of his time to Special Olympics. So thank you, Josh. I didn't know you were going to be on today, and I'm awesome. I'm so glad to see you this morning. Awesome. So he's an amazing coach, and my son just gravitated towards Josh, and it was just like instant bond. And it was just, he was the first one. He got my son to actually stand up on a paddleboard, and he did that like really quick. And my son has never sat down on a paddleboard ever again. So it's really cool. He's amazing, and he bonds really well with my son. So thanks for watching, Josh. I hope you have a fantastic day. All right, so here we are. We've got this nice and lined up on that 1/4 inch seam line, and we've got our pressure foot sitting there. And so we're just going to go ahead and gently start with a few stitches to get yourself started. Again, hand placement, super important. Make sure you're providing the support on your fabric over on the side, but you're also using your other hand to kind of guide it and make sure that you're going straight along that diagonal seam tape line, right? So go ahead and just move that along and provide the support. Take pauses. You don't have to do this in one full swipe. As your pin gets closer, go ahead and take the pin off. And then again, now how are you holding your fabric? You have my thumb underneath here and just providing it with the support that it needs. It also allows me to kind of feel when I have some seam allowances coming up underneath here. So I've got one coming up over here, and I want to make sure that the seam allowance doesn't flip on me. And that tends to happen. If you're not paying attention, it can happen. Not horrible. You can still fix it, but we want to try to get it right the first time as best as we can. So having that thumb underneath will allow you to find when there is a seam coming up, because you will feel it with your hand, and then you'll know you'll have to pay attention when that seam's coming to make sure that you hit that correctly, right? So let's go ahead and go back again. We've got a seam here, so we're making sure that it's going to stay nice and flat. And let me see if you guys can see that. So here is the seam right here, okay? So I want this seam allowance to continue to lay flat this way. So I'm going to make sure that it's nice and flat, not just on this side, but on this side as well. The entire seam, I want to make sure it's flat, and I'm going to provide it with some additional support by just laying my fingers on here and holding it down, and then just seeing it all the way through. Okay, so now that you've passed that, you know my seam allowance is now back here. It's already been sewn, so I can kind of release it and look towards the next one. So we have a few seam allowances that'll keep coming up, because as you continue to sew the rows together, we had several blocks that we have attached. So you need to make sure that you're providing that support for the seam allowances. Okay, so go ahead and do that with your thumb. and then provide the support with your hand as you approach that with the needle. So go ahead and continue that. And then you'll have some seams on the top as well. So you'll need to decide which way you want those seam allowances to go. Okay, so go ahead and just do that with your hands. And I like my seams to go the opposite way, right? So I got to provide support for this top seam as well as a bottom seam that I feel is right in this area here. So I've got the bottom seam all set. My top seam's going in the opposite direction, and that's going to help me when I sew my second row. So let's go ahead and continue here. And then just continue going down the line, providing support for your seams. Okay, now if you notice, I have a pin here going diagonally. And this material right here is the brown. So we've now come to the center of our strip. And that was where the trunk of the tree is. So this is kind of the center, and I wanted to line up my seams here. So you can use fork pins if you have a fork pin, or you can just go ahead and pin diagonally so that you can make sure you get both sides of the seam. So I'm going to get as close as I can without taking out my pin, and then right when I'm at that seam, I'll remove the pin and just continue going from there. Okay, that's going to make sure that I get that spot, right? We were talking about hitting those spots, hitting those seams. That's how you can do it with the help of a regular pin. If you don't have fork pins, you can use a regular pin. You just need to pin them diagonally. And you would like to get one side of each seam as you do that. And I'll show you that again in just a few minutes. Let's get through this particular one. And I have a little piece here sticking out, and I think that's just a bad cut. Probably off just a tad, because as I check my other side, oh, actually, yeah, I can pull that in just a little bit there. There we go. So you can kind of adjust any little cuts that you may have off just a little bit, right? Some of them got off just a little, but that's okay. I'm just going to keep going straight. And then just continue providing the support. I leave my pins to the end as long as I can. And let's see, we've got another seam here. Nope, this is part of the curve. And we're getting towards that end. So our fabrics do meet, so that's a good sign that we didn't tug or pull on anything here, and I think that that is pretty good. And now you want to hold it to the very end. So make sure you can get a stiletto or just use your fingernail just to get it to that very end, and make sure that that last piece gets sewn. So let's go ahead. I'm going to pull my little pins here, pull this to the side, and let's see what we've done here. So I'm going to push Miss Molly over. We're going to open this up. And I have pins on the sides as well, because I didn't want them moving. So here we go. Here is that middle seam that I wanted to hit. And let me move this to the desk cam so you guys can see that a little better. Can you guys see that? Let's see if you can see that. I'll try to bring it up as close as I can. There is that seam. See how it's hitting all four sides right there. Perfect. Okay, that's how you want your seam in the middle to be. I would focus most on the middle. Once you've got your middle down pat, if you sewed it right, you cut it right, and everything else was good, you should be able to line everything else up. So I was able to line up my seam here and my two edges here. You can see I don't have any extra fabric here laying out. If you have maybe 1/8 of an inch or something, that's not too bad. So yeah, it comes out perfect like that. So that's really nice to start it off. And so we've got all our curves. Now, is this 100% perfect? No, it's not. And I know that, you know, there are channels out there that have everything all perfect. This is not one of them. So if you're looking for one of those perfect, you know, little projects every single time, this is live. So it doesn't come out as perfect. But I can point out the things that I do like on here. So I do like how I was able to hit my seam right in the middle. And so I've got all of my squares lined up here and here. So that looks great. Now, I do not like how some of these curves are going into the seam. So maybe they were a little bit lower than I wanted. I wanted this to kind of come out right on the top, and I need to kind of take a peek and look in the book to see if that's intentional. Is that how it's supposed to look, or not? Let's see. Well, it doesn't really. Okay, so I guess that is intentional. So they are not 100% all the way. They do get cut off on the end here. So that is how it's supposed to look. I would have preferred to have it be kind of just sitting on that edge. I know it probably would have been a little harder to do, but I would have liked it to kind of be a little bit further up, to kind of just touching that end here. But it looks like by the design, that's how it's supposed to be cut off. So if you follow the directions, that's how it's going to be. And that's totally fine. But this is our bottom tree trunk here, along with the first layer of the tree. So we've gotten these two layers. Remember, I'm doing it from the bottom up because I want to allow all of this background open fabric here to help me out, so I don't have to be as precise as I need to be. Now, if you are super precise on all your sewing and you get everything and you hit all your points and everything right away, you can totally go from the top down. I'm sure you're not going to have any issues. But for those of us that get interrupted all the time and we're trying to do a million other things while we're sewing, sometimes things don't come out perfect. So I try to kind of find ways to help me out. So by working from the bottom up, it allows me to adjust this right here and allows me to use that background fabric to help me maneuver to where I need to be. If I did from the top down, by the time you get to these bottom two layers, you really don't have a lot of wiggle room at all. And so if you are off, it's going to throw these rows off, and then you'll end up having to cut some of that trimming off. And you don't want to cut the bottom because you want that to be out as much as possible in comparison to the other rows here, right? So looking at this like a triangle, these 2 points need to be at the outermost point, right? So you want to be able to just focus on that triangle. And by me working from the bottom up, I'm able to narrow this down and use my background fabric to help me support that triangle that I'm trying to make, if that makes sense. Okay. Alrighty. So we're on this sewing journey and we're getting better every day, each and every day together. So that's what counts, right? All right. So we've got our 2 rows here. Now I'm going to check my next row, which I believe is this one here. Yep. And so here, if I line this up here, I'm going to try to align this with my row here. And this is going to kind of go on top a little bit here, right? Because we're going to eat up about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So this is where my next row would be. And so I'm going to go ahead and sew this across. And this here is going to be stretched just a bit. And as I stretch it out, I see that my ends here are perfectly aligned. I'm not totally off. So not too bad. I just need to make sure that when I pin it, I am pinning it on every seam here because this bottom row didn't really have anything for me to kind of line up to other than the tree trunk here. But now as you go through every row after, you're going to need to make sure that these seams are aligned because you want your design to kind of flow in that triangle motion. So we'll go ahead and we'll put these right sides together and then go ahead and grab some pins. I've got a few, I've got fork pins, I've got regular pins. I'm just going to do them with the regular pins for those that don't have fork pins. These are just straight pins and these are kind of long, but the way I want to do this, now that I've got this side all sewn down, right, I want to make sure that I'm going to be pinning these the right way. So when I was putting this together, I had seams going this way on this side and I had seams going this way on this side. I now have to kind of change that because I want to be able to line these up and have my seams going the opposite way so I can pin them and then I can hit the seam right in that middle portion there. Okay, so I need to make sure that my seams are going the right way. So I may need to kind of re-iron some of these, making sure my seams go right, or you can just do it with the pin if you want. We're going to try it with the pin. I would recommend you iron it, but because we don't have too much time, I'm going to go ahead and just go and pin it. And we'll see how it comes out. So I'm going to line this up. Now, lining up your seams can be a little bit tricky. So you want to look at your seams from the top. Now, see if I can bring this over to the desk cam. Let me grab a pin here. Okay. So we're lining up our two seams here. And I like to kind of take a look at what I am lining up here. This can be a little tricky because you got that curve here and you don't want to mistake the curve. You're not lining up with the curve. You're actually lining up with the seam right here. Okay. We're lining up with that straight line, not the curve. So, you know, it can be a little bit confusing. So make sure you're lining up with that seam line. And then you want to line up the two together. So I would just kind of bump them up and make sure that the seam lines are together and then just kind of put them right on top of each other. And there I will have one seam going this way, one seam going that way, bumped up together. Take my pin. I will go down one seam, one side of the seam, and then I will come up on the other side of the seam so that my pin is diagonal. Okay, let me just turn this so you can see that a little bit more. See how my pin is coming down one side of the seam and up on the other. That's going to hold this in place so that it does not move around on me as I sew. And you can see as I push it with my fingers, it's not moving because I've been able to grab both sides. Now, if you look on the back side, I didn't grab it. So I could go back and repin this to make sure I grab both sides on this seam as well. But I'm pretty happy with where it's at, and I think it's just going to be just fine. Okay, now we're going to do that for each seam here. We're just going to kind of go down the line. Look at the seams. I'm not worried about this piece here. Not worried about this. I will come back and do this piece later. Now, you shouldn't have any big gaps hanging out. Like, you shouldn't have something like this where you have like a big bucket of fabric on here. If you do, there's ways to solve that. Okay, but you shouldn't be seeing that here if you did this correctly. If you don't worry, don't stress. It's totally fine. It can be fixed. So now I'm going to just go to my next seam line here, and I'm just going to line this up again with my seam line, looking at my seam allowance, going the opposite directions, and then go ahead and line this up here. Okay, so I will take a peek. I will press it down with my fingers, And then I'll open it up and take a peek and see, am I lined up? Or do I have a gap? Maybe you're going to have something like this, where now you have this gap here. They are not lining up, right? My seam is over here. My other seam is here, and I have about 1/8 of an inch gap in between. You don't want that. You want to make sure that you are lined up. So go back and do it again. So line up those seams. You can feel it with your fingers as well. Press it down and then take that peek. And then go ahead and grab your pin. Come down on one side. And then come back up on the other in a diagonal. Okay? There's your diagonal. And then we're just going to keep doing that all the way down. All the way down here. This is where you kind of just put in a CD, you know, listen to some music, watch a movie, you know. You can easily do all of your pinning for all your rows, or at least every other row, and then come back and just sew. So on here, on the ends especially, you want to take a look and make sure you're going the right direction. So seam going one way, seam going the other way, pinning it together. Take that peek. Here's where you can really see, you know, you want to make sure your seam line is lined up. Press it down with your fingers, hold it in place, grab your pin, go down one side of the seam, come back on the other side of the seam in a diagonal. Now you also want to check your ends. So if I pinned everything here, my fabric here should line up, which it does. So I'm good here, but I also like to kind of reinforce it. So make sure it's nice and straight. Now you should do this on a flat surface. So I'm doing it like this just so that you guys can see. But I'll take a pin this way and I will pin it on one side here to make sure this side does not move. And then I'm going to pin it on the other side to make sure it doesn't move either. I want my corners nice and straight. And so let's bring this over to the overhead now so you can see what I've done, at least on this side of the project here. Okay, so as you can see, my pins here are all in a diagonal. See how they're all diagonal here? And then I've got my end here with a straight pin coming down this way, making sure this side stays nice and straight. And then I've got a pin on this side, making sure that this is not going to move as well. So then when I lay this down, I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, lining this up and making sure that all of my little seam allowances are going to be pinned, and then my ends here are going to be nice and straight. So this will get pinned down here as well. You definitely want to do the ends because you want to make sure that that fabric is not going to shift around on you. So I'll go ahead and pin the other side too. So we've got that in place, and then I'm going to go ahead and pin the others. Let's see, I'm going to just do these here. And this one, my seam allowances are going the opposite way. So I do have to kind of play around with this to get them to nest nicely. And if your seam allowances are not on the opposite ends, it's okay. No, don't fret over it. Just line it up as best as you can and then see if that works. Okay. And we'll do the next one, and we're almost there, guys. Almost there. Try not to stick yourself as you're doing these. And like, I'm not liking this one. did not line it up right. Here we go. A little bit there. Okay, so it takes a little bit of patience. You know, you just have to kind of play around with it just a tad till you get it exactly where you want it, and then go ahead and pin it. And we've got our last one here. And it gets a little tricky because you're looking at the curves and it can be a little confusing. You can confuse one of the curves for an actual seam. So, you know, take your time doing this because this is going to be a little tricky for some people. All right, so we've got all our pins and our pins on the end until we're ready to sew yet another strip. So this is how I would do it. So that's how I kind of pinned it together, and then I will just sew my long strip, holding on, putting the support on here. So we've got about 5 minutes. I'm going to see, I don't think I'll get through the whole thing here, but you've already seen me sew one, and I'm just going to continue this method all the way through. Okay, so this is what I'll start off with. I'll line it up here. And again, giving it all the support it needs. Just grab this, get this a little closer. Put that in front of me here. And now as it gets longer and longer, you're going to need to provide that support on this side because it's going to start to get heavier and heavier because now we've got more fabric on this end. So make sure that you provide the support that it's going to need for that. Okay, so go ahead and hold on to that. Line this up, and let's go ahead and get a couple stitches in here. Okay, and then just align it up here. Grab those pins and get them out of the way. Now, as you get to here, I'd like to get closer. And I could have put my pins going the other way, but I didn't, but that's okay. I'm just going to hold it down. Go nice and slow. Now, depending on your machine, there's a lot of bulk in there. So if you don't have a straight stitch machine that's really heavy duty that can take it, you can do all kinds of things. There's little gadgets that you can get that will help with those bulky seams. There's the bulky seam jumper that'll help you to kind of get over these really tough seams that have a lot of bulk in it. You can do that, but just make sure you go very slow when you're getting those bulky seams, and make sure that you pin it and then go very slowly on the seam to get it right. Now we're coming again on another pin, and I'm just going to grab it with my hand and get that out of the way. You definitely want to do it on the other side. Here's that bulky seam. Okay. Even though I have a high-speed machine, I like to go slow because that's a lot of bulk that it's going through. And so you want to make sure that that little seam is going to be nice and secure on there, okay? All right, we're getting towards the end of the hour. I'm going to keep stitching away over here. But why don't we go ahead and bring up the inspirational quote of the day so we can get you guys going on that. Alrighty, so today's inspirational quote of the day is, be patient. Sew one more row, one more seam, one more day closer. It will be worth it. And that's definitely what we like to do right here. So, you know, we've done a lot of projects together, and I like to do all my projects live, whether they come out good or not. Everything is live, and I like to show you guys everything that we do here. So it's a lot of fun. And as you can see, we're on an hour a day, every day. And just doing that hour, let's say you can't get back into your sewing room later on in the day. You've already spent an hour, and within that hour, inch by inch, you will get your projects done. So don't procrastinate and get some of those projects open and laid out on your sewing room. Okay. Oh, Mr. H wants to thank everyone for the well wishes on his recovery. He's doing better. Is able to get out on the bed and did a little bit of walking around. So he's getting better every day. I'm hoping by next week he'll be back in his little chair over there. getting ready to do our show together with us. So I won't be looking at an empty chair anymore. But thank you so much for all the well wishes for his recovery. He hopefully will be back very, very soon. Alrighty, guys, I know our hour is up, and I know that you guys really need to get back into your sewing rooms and get some of those projects done. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I really appreciate all of the support from me and from Mr. H. We really appreciate everything that you guys do. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. And Miss Molly here wants to say, have a fantastic day as well, because her and I will be kind of doing some catching up sewing today. All right, guys, thank you all so much. I'll see you again tomorrow. Thank you again for all your support, and I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope to be crafting with you soon. Bye, everyone.
So long for now, so long. Glad you stayed a while. Hope you liked my crafting style. Hope I left you with a smile. By now, keep your mind and space clutter-free. Hope your day is bright as can be. So long, my friends, till we craft once again. Bye now, stay crafting. See you tomorrow. So long, my friends, till we craft once again.